Launched in 1977, Voyager 1 was humanity's bold step into the vast unknown, a mission designed to study the outer planets of our solar system. What no one anticipated was that this spacecraft, originally meant for a 4-year journey, would continue its voyage for nearly 5 decades, venturing far beyond the edge of our solar system and into interstellar space. Today, Voyager 1 is more than 15 billion miles from Earth, still drifting in the dark silence of space, and still sending data. But recently, something happened. Something that sent ripples through the scientific community. A strange signal, unlike any other before it, was received. What followed was a cascade of events that left even NASA puzzled. After years of mystery, the hidden signal has finally been decoded, and what it revealed was far beyond what anyone expected. The story began quietly. At first, Voyager 1 was operating as expected, sending back occasional telemetry through its aged instruments. Then, in late 2023, scientists at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory noticed something peculiar. One of the spacecraft's signals, coming from the plasma wave subsystem, began to show rhythmic pulses. These were not the random fluctuations typical of cosmic radiation or solar activity. This pattern pulsed once, then again, then fell silent. At first, it was dismissed as a data glitch, a result of Voyager's weakening power supply or perhaps interference from space dust. But when the pattern returned, precisely 72 hours later, and again 72 hours after that, attention turned serious. It had rhythm. It had consistency. It had purpose. Cross-checks were immediately made with solar activity, background radiation, and even deep space gravitational events. Nothing lined up. This was not noise. It was a signal. And it was intelligent, at least in its structure. Within the repeating pulses, analysts discovered something even more curious, a shift in magnetic alignment. Normally, Voyager's magnetic sensors are passive, but these spikes corresponded with a very specific sequence, one that, when plotted, formed geometric shapes. At first, a triangle. Then a spiral. Then, something resembling a wave or frequency map. These were not typical cosmic structures. In fact, they resembled human-drawn diagrams, the kind found in scientific manuals. The team retrieved historical data and discovered that the last time Voyager 1 sent back anything remotely similar was in 1989, just after its Neptune flyby. Back then, the readings were faint and brushed off. But now, these same patterns were unmistakable and stronger. Curiously, when decoding the timestamp logs, engineers realized that some of the data packets Voyager had just sent were from the past. Logs dated decades ago, retransmitted in perfect clarity. Even more unnerving? They were not part of the current software loop. It was as if Voyager 1 had reawakened an old protocol from its memory banks. Digging deeper, analysts uncovered that the binary data inside the signal wasn't just sensor output, it resembled a command response. But from where? Earth hadn't sent any command to trigger such a response. That meant Voyager 1 either activated it autonomously, or was triggered externally. But by what? Whispers began circulating within closed scientific channels. Was it possible that Voyager had passed through something, perhaps a field or structure, triggering this data dump? Some speculated that Voyager had encountered a region of space that activated stored routines. Others went further. What if this was contact? Not necessarily intelligent extraterrestrial life in the traditional sense, but a beacon, or an ancient warning system. A type of trigger set adrift in space eons ago, waiting for something, or someone, to cross its threshold. The signal continued. Over weeks, the pulses began to evolve. Within them were embedded low-frequency waveforms. These waveforms, when visualized using Fourier analysis, displayed a symmetry not seen in natural processes. Think of snowflakes or crystal growth, naturally symmetrical, but this was cleaner, sharper, like a digitally designed symbol. Linguists, mathematicians, and even cryptographers were brought in. The consensus? The pattern seemed purposeful. Not random. And not Earth-made. NASA, while keeping public statements minimal, intensified its internal investigations. Engineers worked around the clock to isolate the new signal's source code and determine if any corruption was involved. But the opposite was true: the data was pristine. In fact, too pristine for a spacecraft that had been in space for over 45 years. This defied understanding. No radiation damage. No degradation. As if the data had just been written. Then came the breakthrough. A team at Caltech noticed that one portion of the signal repeated a prime number sequence. This was followed by pauses, then again, another prime number, this time longer. And then another. Prime numbers are often used in theoretical communication models as a universal constant, something any intelligent life might recognize. But Voyager wasn't programmed to transmit primes. Not in this format. Which led to one chilling possibility. Voyager wasn't just sending a signal, it was relaying one. Was Voyager acting as a repeater? Had it picked up something in the vast reaches of interstellar space and simply passed it along to Earth? If true, this would be the first confirmed relay of an unknown spaceborne signal by a human-made object. More startling discoveries followed. Embedded within the signal were image fragments, faint but distinguishable when enhanced. These weren't pictures in the traditional sense, but pixel maps that, when processed, formed visual patterns. One looked like a star map. Another resembled a spiral galaxy. But the most unsettling of all was a grid, one that bore a striking resemblance to the layout of the solar system. And on it, a path, a line starting from the outer edge, cutting through the Kuiper belt, then sharply diverting before reaching the Oort cloud. Where was it pointing? Astrophysicists ran the coordinates and realized the line was not random. It pointed toward a region of space known as the Great Void, a massive empty expanse between galaxy filaments where, theoretically, nothing should exist. No stars. No radiation. Nothing. A cold, silent region of emptiness. And yet, this was the direction. Now the question became, why? Speculation ran wild. Was the signal a roadmap? A warning? Or an invitation? What was even more confounding was the timing. Why now, after all these years, was Voyager relaying this data? Had it only now passed into this signal's range? Or had something, or someone, only now chosen to respond? NASA has remained cautious, stating that investigations are ongoing and that Voyager's instruments are being closely monitored. But leaked internal memos reveal heightened activity, urgent meetings, and even collaboration with SETI researchers and private aerospace firms. The world may not yet know the full extent of what has been discovered, but behind closed doors, something significant is happening. This isn't just a random signal. It's a message, whether from nature, time, or intelligence remains to be seen. But one thing is clear. Voyager 1, a relic of human ingenuity launched decades ago, has once again captured our imagination. It reminds us that even in the vast silence of space, something may be listening, or watching. We are not alone, not in the literal sense, perhaps, but in the sense that the universe still holds secrets waiting to be discovered. Voyager 1, against all odds, may have become the bridge between Earth and the great unknown. What lies ahead is unclear. But one thing is certain. The silence has been broken. And in that echo, we may find answers to questions we haven't even begun to ask. Subscribe to Discovery at 2.0 to follow the latest on this unfolding mystery. Because space just got a little stranger.